with introductions. Pankil.
Sounds good. Thank you, Alex, for having me on this Zoom call. I'm super excited to be speaking with you guys. My name is Pankil Shah, and I am the CEO of Outranking. I'd love to show how you can build services on our platform that you can cater to your existing clients or new clients, build deeper relationships, reduce churn potentially, and explore more ways of attracting revenue through SEO copywriting services. So I'm excited. And Alex, if you agree, we'll get started.
Yeah, I know you have a presentation. I think some of the main FAQs are around really what value is in the AI-driven approach to copywriting versus the human-based approach, and where those kind of come together. You know, obviously the machine can't do everything. A human needs to be there. That's where service revenue comes in. That's super important. And then we'll get into how this becomes a full service when it's not just providing your clients with the solution itself. Oh, you're on mute. Thank you. And I authorize you to share your screen. So you should be able to share your screen now. Oh, I'm going to unmute you there, Pankil.
Mute. Okay. I think I'm on unmute now. All right. So let me share my screen now. So trying to share my entire screen, my desktop. All right. And let's do the slideshow. All right. Can you guys see my screen? Okay, good to go. All right. So in this presentation, we'll talk about how to set up, sell, and support SEO copywriting services on top of Outranking. Let's get started. A brief overview of what Outranking is so that you can understand what it will provide in terms of building those services. So Outranking is an AI-assisted SEO platform to plan, write, and optimize content for higher organic traffic. We use some really advanced on-page SEO tactics to collect the data and give very precise guidance on how to go about creating content. So that's just a brief overview, and we'll discuss more about the platform as we go along later on in the presentation, but let's get right to the services part of it. Types of SEO services you can support on Outranking. So the first thing, SEO optimized, and let me just minimize my screen. So the first thing, SEO optimized content briefs and first draft services. What we realized and how agencies also use our platform is that when you're writing blogs for customers and you're really trying to appease the kind of tone and kind of information and the depth that you really need into it, it often lacks either research, or it just takes so much time to build those. So you can build a service on top of this and provide briefs or first draft at scale that some of these companies can take internally and create content around that. Second is SEO content writing service. Now, many of you do an excellent job at creating content, but if you're trying to onboard more clients with the same amount of headcounts, or if you're trying to scale, well, would not say scale, but either build deeper relationships with your clients and have them give you more work, or trying to acquire new customers, this might be a problem. So AI, and Alex mentioned how AI has given rise to all of these questions around how and whether it can replace a writer or not. So the short answer is no, absolutely not. But it can guide you in other ways to build the services and accelerate your pipeline. On-page content audit service. This is a very fresh perspective that many agencies miss out on, and the reason being they're so focused on creating content, right? Because that generates a larger portion of the revenue, you'd say, right? Like a good blog post can cost anywhere from I don't know, a couple of $100 to a few $1,000s. So there's more money coming in from there. But this is a new service. So what we've realized, and many companies are realizing now, is they've written tons of content, but most of them is not performing in SERP. So what approaches can be implemented to sort of, or have a data-driven approach to optimizing this content and you making money on top of it, right? Like you're providing it as a service without having very deep technical or on-page SEO knowledge. How can you really do that? So the service enables you to do that. Um, that's the fourth portion, sorry. And going back to the third portion is on-page content audit service. So auditing is mostly going around and finding pages to optimize, right? If there was a manual approach right now, and which is why many of these companies deter away from optimizing existing content, is because they just don't know what's wrong with it. And since you are also like pretty occupied with building your services around optimization, well, writing SEO content, optimization is like often underlooked. So this service allows you to identify or scan through large websites of your client and find out pages that can be optimized, right? So that's the third. And the fourth one that I talked previously about it is optimizing those pages as you go along and really seeing an uptick in their ranking, providing value, and seeing them succeed with your services, right? So those are the four services that you can support on Outranking. And let's go next. Okay. So who is this really for, right? Like, so this is like scale might be a dirty word, like Alex says, but scaling content production without increasing headcounts, this is definitely a use case. Although maybe not that big of a deal when you're focused much on quality aspect of it. But if you could do this, it can potentially drive more revenue while keeping your base cost same. Delivering consistently outperforming content. This is the top on my list. Because if whatever you're writing is not generating results, the chances of customers not coming back or giving you lesser and lesser amount of work is also right around the corner. So how do you keep delivering consistently outperforming content? Not just great content in terms of written value, but also that ranks, and it ranks majority of the time in the approach that you take in creating this content. The third is new stream of revenue by introducing content optimization service. So this, the reason why many agencies or many SEOs or freelancers stay away from introducing content optimization services is because, first of all, there's no structured approach, or there's no very extreme guided approach on how you should be doing this. And this service essentially addresses that, allowing you to generate new stream of revenue. And there are agencies on our platform that sell this as a service. So they'd go find pages to optimize on client's website and sell per page optimization. And you can understand, like, it can take anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour to optimize these pages. And you can charge based on that, right? So it becomes totally professional services. And we'll get into a little bit of details later on as well. Minimize content outsourcing costs. So what we have seen increasing amount of agencies, because they're just getting really, they just have lots of clients. They're trying to increase their revenue, but they are not able to increase the headcounts as quickly as they'd like to. Not because they don't have the capacity, they can, but it's difficult to find the right kind of person, the right kind of writer who'd stick around, right? Like all of those challenges are going to be put into picture. So this can really help you minimize content outsourcing cost because it'll save you tons of time in building out this content briefs and even creating first drafts for any vertical. Fifth one, introducing SEO copywriting services without SEO expertise. Now, this can be a challenge. Like, we've seen many agencies extremely brilliant in coming up with really good content. The problem is that they often rely on an external freelancer, or they would rely on fewer inner inside SEO experts to help them facilitate this process and make sure that the content that's generated is really, really good, right? Like, it is SEO optimized. Not only it has added value in it, but it can, it has potential of ranking. So that's what majority of your clients are going to want. Okay. Okay. All right. So how long does it take to learn outranking? Knowing that it can do all of these things, there is definitely a small learning curve. But once you adapt to that learning curve, you can crunch out or you can optimize pages at scale very fast without having to really understand what you need to do and how you need to do. So it takes about an hour to learn how to write content on our platform. And it's tricky. It's not, uh, we don't call ourselves creating content which is thin, right? With very much focus on quality of content, there's going to be some learning curve when you're using new technology. So it takes about an hour to learn ins and out of the platform when it comes to just the writing aspect of it. But once you get a hang of it, you can use those utilities in your sleep. The second one is optimizing content, because there's tons of on-page SEO optimization that can really drive this content rank higher. It takes about 1 to 2 hours, depending on your experience with SEO. If you don't have any experience, learning some tutorials and registering for a bootcamp and stuff can help you bridge some of those gaps, but it can take anywhere from 1 to 2 hours learning the optimization aspects of it. Okay. Let's go next. This is how the current partnership model works. So you have existing clients, you have past clients, you have cold outreach. You can run them through the utilities in either Outranking or some other tools that you're using to identify SEO opportunities with high ROI. In Outranking, you can really nail down the quick wins that you can cater this clients, right? Like identifying content that you can help them rank faster, or just going about and, what we've seen, one of our brilliant clients did was he went ahead and optimized a page for an existing client and said that, hey, this is what I worked on. Your content is currently ranking on 18th position. See if it can improve it, by just making those small adjustments. They made it. The adjustments really worked, and now they are giving him per page optimization cost, right? So you can use that to leverage really in identifying like how you want to approach this client. Then you can either use it for internal use. So we have a 5-day bootcamp coming up next week. You can attend that, where you learn how to really put this into workflow or your existing workflow and make it work for you. It's a 5-day bootcamp, 1 hour outranking and queen session every day that will talk about specific aspects of either writing or optimizing content. There's also other stream, which is refer. And once you get a hang of the platform, once you become a power user of the platform, there are other co-selling and lead generation, what do you call referrals you can get from Outranking. And the ways to sell, it can be a retainer, it can be a per project thing for you, or it could be a part of your existing service that you are actually selling your clients. Okay. How do I get started? So for internal use, sign up to Outranking, subscribe for a basic plan, attend the bootcamp, and it's pretty simple. You can start using it right away. And there's an offer at the end, which will allow you to start for free. Then second, for refer. So this is where it gets a little interesting. So second, in terms of referring, if you are creating 100 documents plus on Outranking, we can get into a model where you can have a dedicated account manager. We can co-sell, and we support SLAs. So we'll go and train your clients, and however that works, right? And there is a 40% recurring commission on referring a new client. There's also this third option is client referrals from Outranking. So since there are many small, medium size, and now even enterprises using our product, the need for optimization and getting those either first drafts or complete drafts written from Outranking or by some agency that knows Outranking is like, we're getting increasing amount of leads, and we're trying to channel that to everyone who's a power user of Outranking. So we want to leverage that and pass on those leads to our clients as well. And there's a criteria for that. So once you start producing 500 documents on our platform, that's when we start referring your clients, because we want to be absolutely sure that the content that comes out of Outranking is not only A grade, but is also A grade in terms of ranking. Okay, why should you sell this subscription to your clients? So checking the health of clients' websites, content at scale, and coming up with an optimization plan. This is very difficult thing to do. With many using Drupal, Headless, Gatsby, and all sorts of CMSs to build out their content. It's not like a WordPress thing, right? Like you'd install a plugin and you'd scan the document for some peripheral things and be able to identify that. You can't really do that. So you need different ways to go about scanning this content and understanding what the content health is, right? Like you can make those website adjustments. And you're probably selling technical SEO services where you optimize a website. This is optimizing content to itself, right? Whether it has gaps, whether it has potential to rank, whether you're missing out on any opportunities, you can build services around that. Increasing content ROI and improving results as soon as this week. So we have people, well, with the decent amount of DAs and PAs coming from your clients. If you are optimizing their page using Outranking, would guarantee that some of them will start improving very, very, very fast in SERP. And you can show that results, not like after a month. You can show that this week, literally. It requires that little of work. Better facilitation of content approvals, feedback, and optimization. So what we realized also is that there's an increasing amount of disconnect in the way you facilitate content process, right? Like the company gives the requirement, then you do the initial research, you build out content briefs, it goes to the editor, and then the editor, it might go for approval to the client for the first pass, and then, back and forth and all of that. And many use different places to build this content, right? Like some use Asana, some use Jira, some use Google Doc. And we have integrations that allow you to do this in a seamless manner. So you can better facilitate content approvals, feedbacks, and optimization at scale. Content management with transparency and shared data bank. So since you can share the optimization pages with your client or the written pages, which are SEO optimized with your clients, they can have an understanding how well this content is written for search engines as well, right off the back. And this sort of creates that image of thought leadership in your client's mind, and a perception that says that you really know your stuff and you're really trying to address all of these needs suggested by the platform. And the last one is transparency in tracking and improvement versus the efforts. So everyone likes lots of content, but everyone likes content that ranks. And often this is not tracked. So you can, if you are able to provide this service on top of what you're already doing by writing content and providing a sustainable way to track this results, there's nothing better than that, because you're providing value, and because they can see it, they'll stick around longer, they'll get more work. Okay. And I'll pause here for a quick second, and then give a very brief outranking demo.
Looking good, man. Looking good. Thanks for following the flow. I like that. It's right on, right on. So at this point, we're sort of qualifying our clients to see if we have the right clients for this. We're deciding how it fits into current services that we're offering, and we're thinking how it could potentially fit into the stack as well. But now we want to see how it works, and then we'll go into potential margins for this, how we can price it, whether it's a setup service or an ongoing retainer. It sounds like it is an ongoing retainer service.
Yes.
And price ourselves out.
Okay, sounds good. So I'll stop my share and share another screen here quick. Okay, I believe you can see my my screen here. So this is the platform where you can manage your client's documents. And this really means like you can categorize your documents and stuff like that. So this is my client. I just created a folder. You can add a document in here and just stack them over there. You can create new documents, and it's a very concise workflow. So even for a person, even for an editor with no knowledge of SEO, with just basic information, should be able to go through this entire thing and get it to a place where we have 75% to 85% ready stuff. So I've already created, there are some workflows that you can use for SEO optimization and SEO blog, but we'll go through the optimization, a new document that I've already created. So I've created a document around SEO optimized content writing. I'm trying to create content for that. And the goal literally here is to come up with the best possible everything till you get to that first draft. And how do you go about doing that in less than 15 minutes? That's the first option. So let's just quickly go through this. I'm going to go take 2 minutes probably and generate most of this thing. So we have our SEO optimized title, double click, edit it. Let's click next, generate descriptions. You click next, and then you curate your outline. So what is SEO writing? You can generate some ideas around it, and then let the AI do the first draft for you. And it can talk about any verticals. So when I talk about any vertical, this is the major problem that AI has when you work with other tools, is that it can only write about things that it knows that happened before 2019. And this is why there was a major disconnect between agencies trying to write long form content with AI. So we build out a wrapper that kind of extracts this facts from search engines, conceptualizes it, and influences the AI to write around it. So we'll select the key points and you'll see how detailed it can get with those details and how we can build out. It also has snippet optimizations and stuff like that. So the point is to create brilliant content in as little as time as possible, which is SEO optimized, has all the core vitals, and just go about creating that first draft. So we'll create that first draft. It'll probably take about 15 to 20 seconds to write this entire content. But it's not going to build out the first draft like altogether. It's giving you a blueprint that you can work with and call it a day, get approvals on, or pass it on to the editor who can then finish it off. Or if you are doing all of these together, use AI to construct most of it or some of it, right? So it's sort of started building out the answer to it, and then you can start expanding upon this. So this will really help you get the content, and you can see the scores climbing up with this first draft. There are several utilities that allow you to write in different way, and I'm not going to go that in detail, but let's just go and look at an optimization. So we have gamified the optimization. So you can get into really granular stuff, even find internal links to attach and stuff, which literally takes 15-20 minutes of a writer or someone who's researching to go and find those information and include in the content. You can do that with all of these, with literal gamification that we've given here. And it can read through all the information. So this is content writing process. What we were talking about is optimization, and that is something that I want to cover majorly here. So this can read through the website, scan the pages, and come up with scores for each of those pages. So you can identify which pages you want to go after and optimize based on the quick win score. So the higher score you have, the faster you can improve it. The lower score you have, the more amount of time you're going to have to spend to improve it. And you can just track the performance of the content that you've optimized, go through the optimization process, and publish the content as soon as today. So it really allows you to sell the service on top of what you're already selling writing. But what about optimization of existing content? You can prove those results today or tomorrow and not have to make your clients wait for the content to be written, published, and then taking a few weeks to index it and potentially start seeing any sort of benefit from it. This can literally take a few hours. So this was a quick overview of the platform. I don't want to go too much in detail. And if you're interested, we can do a personal demo where we can walk through all of these things. Let me stop my share here again and open up my presentation. Okay. And I'm just trying to open up my presentation here. I see there are some questions over there, and we'll address that in just a second. Okay, all right. So about to share my screen now. Share screen.
Thanks, Jorge. Please share the videos. Awesome. Jorge's a fan.
Okay. Okay. All right. So the plan, the pricing for this is very basic. So the base plan starts with $299 a year. That just comes with 10 documents, and potentially you can automate content creation for 5 documents. So it's very base, but then it's pay as you go pricing. So you can buy one-time purchases of either documents and characters. So as your agency scale, as you scale your content creation or optimization process, you can buy more and keep it, that gets rolled over, and you don't lose anything monthly. So it just pay as you go pricing, and it starts with the basic $299. There's tons of SEO agencies that use our platform, and it's just some of the examples of the SEO agencies that use our platform. And to potentially write content or optimize them, SEO Inc. is definitely using it for optimizing our content. And a quick note after that is we have a bootcamp coming up next week, and because the platform has so much data and it can do a lot of things pretty quickly, there's also a learning curve to it. So we're taking everyone through that 5-day live event where we discuss the product and the best practices of creating content, and making sure your efforts are not going in vain. And the offer is 10 documents and 500K AI credits if you send an email to support@outranking.io, or drop your email addresses in chat here, or send us a DM. We'll put that offer onto your account if you've already signed up. If you haven't, please sign up and let us know those details so we can add that information. Okay, and that is it. So we can answer some questions now.
Yeah, so that was really good. Jeff, if you have any questions, you hung on the longest, so you can jump in and ask them now if you have specific questions. But
yeah, there's two.
Yeah,
well, there's a technical question in terms of your keyword suggestions. Where do they come from? Are those NLP generated, or does your technology go beyond NLP? How what's under the hood?
So there are 2 ways we curate content. So we curate keywords. First set of keywords that you're talking about, NLP keywords, is the one that defines a true intent of what you should be writing. So those are the ones that you want to include in your content that will help you rank for that particular keyword, the focus keyword that you're going after. But we also bring out semantically related terms from all the top ranking pages. We analyze them and we find out all the keywords that they are ranking for the same content that you see in Google. So we get not only the related keywords, but the semantically related keywords as well, along with Google NLP terms, and with some processing, right? Like you have to process that, you have to map it with SERP data to understand which ones are really important, which ones are the least important, and then go about making a plan accordingly. So everything is like pretty well embedded. And the gamification that I was showing you about optimization, it takes those suggestions into picture when suggesting all of those things. So you don't miss out on many of those things. But yeah, so data is curated in a couple of ways. We use Google NLP, then map it to the SERP usage to understand if they are important or not. And then the second type of keywords is the ones that will allow you to rank for many more keywords using the same content. So scaling horizontally, and also getting on top of the ranking for that particular.
The other question is, and maybe more of a broader question. So, we do a lot of obviously new business conversations, and you alluded to, there's a way to kind of use this tool to quickly point out some things that get the client interested. Now we use more of a manual process. We're going to an Ahrefs or something like that, or we use Surfer SEO as well, just to come up with some interesting insights that entice them into basically wanting to do some sort of content program at scale.
Right.
How would we use your tool to kind of initiate those initial discussion points?
So absolutely right. So the initial, like what we have noticed, the biggest icebreaker has been take a blog post that's performing poorly, dump it into the tool, or even take a blog post that per se they are very confident and is ranking on the top page, dump it in the tool, and understand the suggestions it's giving you, right? Like even if you are acing the content in all other platforms, this will still give you some suggestions. So you can take those suggestions and say, you're not doing this correctly. We can help you improve it. That's one definite way. Second, I think that's why you'd use Surfer SEO is essentially to kind of help them optimize existing content or new content that you're trying to create, right? And this does in a very granular way. So this will pick out suggestions for internal links that you have missed out, links going out to your other pages that you have missed out, terms like related keyword terms, semantically related terms that you have missed out on all the important on-page SEO elements, very much granular in terms of the improvements that you can make on a page.
So does it have an auditing tool where I could just put in the URL of their page and then it spits out, you know, the information that you kind of demonstrated on the screen, that sort of thing?
Yes, absolutely. So it has an optimization workflow. So you dump the URL, the keyword you want to go after, and it scores the page after all the research is done.
Got it. So if I want to do a quick little new business thing, I could just sign up with your support at
absolutely
Outranking.io and maybe give it a roll and give it a try.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. We'd love for you to give it a try.
Yeah, so I'd like to do that. So I'll get you. I'll put my email in. I haven't signed up yet, so I'll have to do that.
If you put an email here, well, you need to be signed up in order for me to rank up that thing. But yes,
got it.
You can definitely do that.
Oh, great questions there. Thank you very much for that, Jeff. I was just going to show their profile here, Jeff. If you're a user of Partner Hub, Outranking should show up in your backlog. You can just open up the profile and click deploy at the bottom, so you can start creating tasks for one another, discussing the partnership. You've got Natalie's contact info here if you ever need it. And then if you have referrals for Outranking, one of your clients wants to just use it on their own for some reason, you can always send referrals, and they can send you referrals if they have a good user that needs extra support. Outranking is willing to send you some.
Well, what's interesting about Outranking also is I'm encountering I get a lot of referrals, but those referrals tend to be too small and this might fill in an interesting gap where I could help clients that aren't quite ready for a service like ours. But, you know, they could get going on their own content, and we could kind of give them a little guidance with a tool like this, you know, so it might be an interesting hybrid.
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy. You want to make sure you're there to support the first few, but I would let them sort of steer it. It kind of gives you that extra level of protection. And then once you really get the hang of it, and you've got some case studies, you know, client group YZ, then you create a landing page on your site, create an email, blast that out to all of your leads, your newsletter, saying, hey, we now offer this awesome managed service, and it's $1,000 a month or $5,000 a month, and it's great for these types of buyers. And then book a call if you need this level of support.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
If you have a enterprise clients, or you have clients with very big websites, the often problem that they're going to run into is finding out pages that will give them highest, quickest ROI. So a icebreaker over there is throwing their website in, creating a project, and showing them 10 pages that you can optimize today.
Right. Yeah, that would be that's great.
Sounds good.
Awesome. And this is your website, right? Your Brainchild, Jeff?
Yeah, teambrainchild.com.
Yep. Got it here. That's for you, Pankil and Natalie. Super cool, man. Great site.
Yeah, basically we help usually compliance or complex businesses produce content at scale. It's kind of our niche. So we're used to like heavy legal oversight and you know, lots of content editing and highly detailed, you know, it's the harder types of content to produce.
Got it.
And do it consistently.
What do you use as a source for writing this content?
Now what we usually do is we'll use like a Surfer SEO, we'll use the content editor, and then we'll actually have a strategist do the content brief. So we have like two different teams, and the strategist will kind of figure out what needs to be done. Then they'll feed that. They'll actually set up a content editor in Surfer SEO, along with some, you know, guidance in the brief in terms of, what the competitors are doing, how a page needs to be laid out, internal linking strategies, things like that.
Okay, got it. Okay. Okay, so you'd have to manually still go and identify those facts that you want to include and create that brief. Okay.
Yeah, I see this as maybe it's either another tool in the tool, it either plugs into certain things in our workflow, like I was saying, new business and what have you. It'd be interesting to see the types of things that your tool returns versus a surfer.
Yes,
to see
absolutely.
what adds more value to our writing team.
Yes,
the
absolutely.
writers seem to be very proficient in things like fintech or medical. I think, things where you can imagine it's a little more intense.
No, it is super intense, right?
Right.
And this is one of the biggest problems with AI is that it might lie, right? Like it might not give you facts, right? So what we did was we build a layer on top of GPT-3 that can go and read through existing pages, extract concepts from it, which are facts, and then influence that along with AI to write factual information. So this your writers or editors might find a little useful than coming up with coming and writing about like any other AI, which just spits out of from thin air. So
yeah, the AI on Surfer is a little kludgy.
That's Jasper, right?
Like, I wouldn't even call it AI. I don't know what it is. It's kind of a mess, is what I call it. But
yeah,
it's not helpful. It's often wrong.
Right, and our methodology behind ranking content is also a little different, and we're outranking Surfer for many keywords. If you run some analysis quickly, you'll understand. But our methodology is not around how many times the term should be used in content, right? There's many aspects that come into picture in suggesting certain keywords and phrases to be included in content. So we have slightly different way of scoring and approaching content, but it should have more data than you'd find in Surfer for many cases. So
yeah, I mean, what I like about Surfer, it does gives you a comparative content score. So you could say for topic X, here's what the competition is scoring. Here's what you're scoring. There's a gap of 30 points. To close that 30 points, we need to focus on this NLP language. We set that up in the content editor. The writer goes to town, and it kind of works. It's a little labor intensive, but it works.
It's labor intensive, but also the issue is that when you often go around catering to those clusters, what if there is no relevant search that any of those pages are ranking for? Even if you have those mixed intent, your content will still not rank for that keyword that you're trying to optimize for. So we take a slightly different approach at on-page optimization than they do.
Yeah, so definitely want to take a look and
absolutely
try it.
Okay, so any other questions?
No, I think Jeff handled the meat of it right there. That was really good. I'm glad we got those off, because I mean, I don't know what questions to ask you. Obviously, you just know the product and some of the user stories, but Jeff's actively thinking about how he's going to build a service around it and answer.
Yeah, it often comes down to price point for the, I get a lot of, they're just beyond startup, right? I wouldn't call them startup. It's usually a 1 or 2 person marketing team and a fairly, okay funded company. They need to demonstrate the value. They know they need us, content. They need things optimized. It doesn't quite have the pop of, let's say, a paid media plan, initially, as they try to generate those initial leads. So the question is, can I come up with some sort of, in between solution for them? And this could be interesting.
Absolutely. Okay.
So you touch on pricing, by the way, Pankil, save your thought, but touch on pricing. I mean, not pricing of outranking, but like were to estimate on a service level, how many hours a month should an agency spend on client service work using Outranking as the publishing tool? And I know that's very tough to gauge, but like, let's just talk through, okay, I'm setting up Outranking and I'm setting up my first client. How many hours are in there? And then what would you anticipate a monthly routine per client work-wise, hours?
So setting up is fairly simple. You can set up a client account or a website that you are creating content for in less than 15 minutes. It'll and then just run the autopilot. So it'll go and score all the pages on their website to help you identify stuff for optimization. For writing, it really depends on how much content you're writing. We have dedicated writers on our platform that crunch out anywhere from 2 to 3 topics, which are almost 2 to 3,000 words daily in a finished format. So they are editors and they did not have knowledge. So all sorts of audience. But I think if you're dedicatedly writing, you can crunch out easily 3 to 4 topics in 8 hours, which are pretty solid, factual. From Outranking. Not saying it's going to happen in 5 minutes like Jasper or any other tool does. That's not the point of creating value-added content. And so, yeah, you can, depends, right? Like, so if you're writing 4 topics for a client on Outranking, you're potentially spending anywhere from 4 to 8 hours, right? Like that's,
yeah. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like 5 pieces of content a month, or like 1 a week is typical. So you have a 4 pieces of content a month package. Maybe you have a 12 for bigger clients, and then just keep it pretty simple, and then package those up about 4 hours per piece of content as agency time. So you're billing for probably 8 hours. You want 50% margin, but plan on 4 hours of your agency's time. Double that, so it would be 2,500, maybe 2,000 a month for the 4 pieces of content. And then maybe 4,000 for 8, something like that, and double it from there. Does that sound like about on par?
So what's your total per month? Where do you...
$2,000 a month billed to the client for 4 pieces of content a month, and those are about Or you go up? Would you go up from there?
Oh yeah,
way up.
Yeah, I wouldn't even touch that. So
so what we've noticed,
I wouldn't even touch that on the low end.
I'm sorry. I'm too cheap. That's my problem.
No, well, you got to remember, I'm also dealing with enterprise clients working in fintech, and the reason why my niche is in more compliance-driven industries is because of the complexity and the meetings and the lawyers and it's not just the writing; it's the process.
I got one for you.
And the tolerance of the team to deal with this kind of writing.
I got one for you. This is specific for you, Jeff. So this is one of our B2B agencies. They're called Core.
Right.
They're out in Toronto or something. Doesn't matter.
Right.
But you see this subdomain? They have abm.corey.com.
Yep.
They use this as an example for clients. They set up these microsites for their big clients. Right. So a client of yours may want to start targeting a keyword like COVID. They want to just be everywhere for COVID. Pick an example, doesn't matter. They set up a templated site. So you use Webflow. So this would be like a Webflow template. You duplicate your Webflow template. You'd use Outranking to grab a number of keyword dense topics, and you'd pack this subdomain with all the content that you could possibly build for their budget around one topic. Create some videos, you see some different things. They add drift chat here for conversions, and then they have a pop-up video. But this is a really focused microsite that you can sell to your clients for, I don't know, countless dollars, whatever it is. But this is used heavy in like pharma. It's used a lot in pharma. It's used a lot in those B2B manufacturing industries. They sell to a bunch of really awesome clients. That would be a good one, I think.
Yeah, interesting.
Very interesting.
I'll stop that. But yeah, man, I'm glad you had those questions. And I actually sent you a request from Outranking's profile for Partner Hub, Jeff, so you can chat.
Yeah, I got to go in there and see if I'm part of, sorry, I haven't paid as much attention to some of your resources. So I'll, after the call here, I'll kind of go in there.
Don't worry about it. No, nothing personal. I just want to make sure that you have direct contact and you have all the info and everything you need.
I appreciate that.
And then, I'll let you guys deal with that on the side. And then, of course, Pankil, thank you very much for this. This was
thank you. Yeah, really helpful.
Thank you, guys.
Take care for now. I think we got to jump.
All right.
And I'll let you guys deal with your stuff offline, and we'll
Alrighty.
talk soon, Natalie. Thank you.
Right.
All right. Talk to